Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we've seen the headlines, the growing tension between South Africa and America, which has taken a new turn with some US voices accusing South Africa of persecuting Africans, the white South Africans. But here is where it gets interesting. Many palm color South Africans are pushing back against that narrative. So in the videos you're about to see, in the clips that you're about to watch, you hear from one of those clips, a palm color South African woman who doesn't sugarcoat, she said it as it is. She explains that the Afrikaans people who've left for the US, the so-called refugees, aren't always the innocent victims they're being portrayed as. So according to her, a lot of them left not because of danger, but because they weren't able to thrive under the new system, which is equality. And she's very clear about why that is. Now, my video is not about adding fuel to the fire. It's about shedding more light, or let's just say setting records straight on the full picture, especially when one side of the story is being amplified while the other is being ignored. I don't want to spoil the details for you. I've gathered some information which I'm going to share at the end of this video, so make sure you watch the video up to the end and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's watch this.
We built apartheid. And now we're refugees. We took the land, we took people's futures, we took their dignity, and now we're being given refuge? What must it feel like to be a person of color, a black person in South Africa, watching my people who broke this country and now run off to claim victimhood somewhere else? We say we're afraid, but we built what we were afraid of. In 1994, we didn't give over power, we just gave over the mess and said, it's your fault, you deal with it now. But our white hands are clean. And now we're fleeing the country crying reverse racism. So black South Africans, please tell the bad guy right here how it makes you feel. Because this is not right. This is sick. And I don't want to be the perpetrator anymore.
This is not true. It's a lie. There is no genocide of white South Africans. And let me make this clear. For the benefit of those of you who are not South Africans, I'm a white South African, but I'm not an Afrikaner. I'm not a Boer, as people say. But even the Afrikaner people, the vast majority of Afrikaners don't want to leave this country. All Afrikaners and white people have a very good life in South Africa. We are doing fine. Thank you very much. We do not need to leave, and we do not need refugee status from Trump. So, why has Trump decided to grant refugee status to a group of Afrikaners? Well, he likes keeping in the media, but I think that it really has more to do with his friend Elon Musk, who, remember, is a former South African. He has not been granted a license to operate his Starlink internet here in South Africa. And he has probably done this whole thing to provoke the bear, to create some kind of acrimonious situation and force the South African government to pay more attention to him. But let me just reiterate this. The group of South Africans who claim to be refugees from a white genocide, it's quite frankly an embarrassment.
This is for the Americans. If you're not an American, feel free to watch, but please try and get it to the Americans. My name is Bianca van Wyk, born in South Africa, live in South Africa. Today you will be welcoming the so-called white Afrikaans refugees. They are there based on an offer made to them, which I must say was informed by disinformation about South Africa. Now, I've seen a lot of takes on who Americans think they are receiving. Okay, you are not getting successful, professional, white, middle class South Africans that are fleeing South Africa. The people you are getting are the people that believe that there is discrimination against them based on their race. Keep in mind, we live in the most unequal country in the world. We have, for instance, 70% of agricultural land and agricultural holdings are owned by white South Africans. 62 to 68% of top leadership positions in corporate are filled by white males. There is a huge salary disparity between white South Africans and the rest of the population. And there are a number of other indicators which shows you that this story of discrimination based on race is false. Another thing that I wanted to say is that you will get certain so-called refugees that have experienced crime. However, in South Africa, no one is exempt. These people that you are welcoming assume because they're white, they should not experience crime. The people most affected by crime in South Africa happen to be black people that live in poverty. So as you open your doors and welcome people, and you're going to get a lot of information and disinformation from these people, please do keep that in mind. Oh, I also would like to say all the best and good luck to the Americans.
Hey, lovely people, and particularly a quick word to my American friends who might be tempted to believe what Donald Trump is saying about South Africa, my home country, where I happen to be right now. Him and Elon Musk are racist twats who have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Because what they're doing is taking the word of a fringe racist group called AfriForum and other disaffected whites, disgruntled by the end of apartheid, feeling hard done by, and much like the Israelis, victimizing themselves when they are not victims at all, bitching about how, you know, land redistribution is racist against whites. These are such ignorant provocateurs, and it's going to backfire on them. South Africans' majority, the black majority, and it's a multiracial, multi-tribal society now, only own a tiny proportion of the land versus the size of their population. And while white South Africans make up 7% of the population, more or less, they own about 70% of the decent land. And so the redistribution of land is to address past inequities, and the vast majority of South Africans agree and understand why that's happening and that it's a good thing. It's also under a very strict mechanism. Now, not everyone agrees, of course, with the mechanism, but the principle is what racists like Musk and Trump are railing against here on behalf of a bunch of assholes who equate equality with oppression, because for so many years, decades and decades of the apartheid era, they were the oppressor. And as we know, whenever the oppressor looks at something like equality, it suddenly becomes oppression of him. So Elon Musk, fuck these idiots from AfriForum. You probably know nothing about them, but this is a bunch of, you know, the equivalent of your kind of Proud Boys hanging on to some past that never actually existed. And a past in which the vast majority of people in this country were oppressed, suppressed, and treated much like, fortunately not quite as badly as the Israelis treat the Palestinians. So this whole railing against South Africa, I'm going to add one more point. South Africans, on the whole, all of us, white, black, Indian, colored, which is not a term, is a specific term for those of you who might get offended by that, a specific racial group. We are very, very resilient people. As a country, we have gone through a great deal, both in terms of the early part and then the transition from the apartheid era to genuine multicultural democracy. And whatever Trump throws at us, we can handle it, because we've been through far, far worse in our history. And my hope is that South Africans all turn around with one voice and tell Trump to fuck off with his sanctions and his withdrawal of aid and his tariffs and all of this stuff, because we can live through it. What I'm not sure about is whether Americans can, because for the most part, all the stuff that Vivek Ramaswamy said recently about Americans being soft, not prepared to put in the hard graft, and all this stuff, I tell you, for the experience of most foreigners is true. And it's not true of every American I know. Some of them are the most hardworking, wonderful people in the world. But as a general principle, South Africans are far more resilient and able to withstand this kind of bullshit authoritarian pressure. So to my fellow South Africans, let's stick this out. Let's stick up the middle finger to Trump, and particularly to Elon Musk, because we know from his background that he left South Africa in the apartheid era and retains the racist bullshit that's motivating these people like Creel. And now that I'm in South Africa, I'm seeing their awesome, ridiculous tweets. Fuck those guys as well. They're the past. Most of us are the future, and it's a beautiful future.
thought of the day. So I've been thinking about these expedited 49 Dutch settlers that were flown to the US. Like, it's interesting because I see a lot of US citizens are complaining that it's unfair because the refugees program has been stopped, and yet Trump is flying in these people and chartered flights some more. So I'm thinking maybe Elon Musk paid for the flight, and also Elon Musk paid for every refugee to come in because he wants to help his people, right? And then I'm also thinking that the plan that Elon Musk has for the Dutch settlers is that they will probably set up a town, or who knows, maybe even a state in the US, which will be for Afrikaners only. Something like Oranje, which is for whites only in South Africa. Of course, in the US, they can't have it as whites only, so they would have it as Afrikaners only. And then very similar to like the Amish people have. The only thing is, I know that in the USA, you cannot have racially exclusive towns, because even the Amish, it's not allowed to be racially exclusive. The only reason why there are no non-whites there is because sometimes they do have, but they don't last because the lifestyle is not suitable. So anyway, this is just what I'm thinking is happening, which I totally support. I full on support, because these people who are actually from the Netherlands, their own homeland is totally ignoring them. Then for South Africa, they are just not a good fit for South Africa, because, we've seen they can't assimilate. Their culture is a culture of racial exclusivity. So, of course, we cannot accept such a culture in our country, especially not with our history, and especially not from the people who were responsible for that horrible history, right? So for me, I'm happy that they have found a place and that there are people helping them. It's the right thing for them to do. I'm totally for it. But then for those who stay, you'll know my stance about Oranje. That is a no-go. Not for South Africa. And for those Dutch settlers, colonizers, because, sorry, that's what you are. Because, I cannot, people get upset when I use the word Afrikaner, so I have to, and others get upset when I use the word Boere, when that is actually what you used to call yourselves before. So anyway, for you guys, if you're going to stay back in South Africa, I think your Cape Independence and your Oranjes and Kleinfonteins and whatever, those racially exclusive places, or trying false starts or trying to break away from South Africa, I think you all are going to have to shelve that little idea, okay? So that's just my opinion and thought of the day.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Hoping that the few clips that you've seen has helped clear the air, at least a little bit. Because the truth is there is always more than one side to every story. It's only fair that we not only hear from the palm color South African refugees who've moved to the US, but also from those South Africans who've chosen to stay behind, those who aren't even interested in leaving, who feel there's no need to run, and who have a very different take on what is really happening. So let me try to lay it out, at least from what I've been able to gather through my own research and the perspectives that I've come across. First of all, some quick historical context. I'll try my level best, okay? So apartheid officially ended in South Africa in 1994, right? That might sound like a long time, but in reality, it's still recent history. And what many people don't realize is that the effects of apartheid didn't just vanish overnight. So during that system, a small portion of the population, the Africans, who make up to around 7% to 8%, I'm not sure, between the two, okay, of South Africa, ended up with control over the vast majority of the country's wealth. I'm talking resources and economic opportunities. We're talking about prime land, major businesses, high paying jobs. Most of it are concentrated in their hands. Okay. Now, fast forward to today. South Africa is governed by the ANC, the National African Congress. Okay. Think of it as a political party similar to how the US has Democrats and Republicans. The ANC took power after the end of apartheid with the goal of shifting the country towards racial and economic equality. And that shift, that transfer of power, is at the heart of a lot of what we're seeing today. I hope that makes sense. Let's not go into details, but I'm sure you understand where this is going, especially if you're Black American. I know you understand this. So let me put it this way, and I'll speak it in a bit of code, but I think you guys will understand. Okay. So one group for a long time operated as a dominant force in the country of South Africa. They held the power, the wealth, the control, but now the dynamic has changed. And there's a growing sense, especially among the Africans who stayed, that the playing field is finally being leveled. The other group is saying, no more, we're taking back what's ours. And that shift is upsetting, that shift in balance is upsetting the group that once had it all. If you get it, you get it. Some have decided to leave the country entirely, seeking refuge in places like the US. But here's the thing. It's not just out of fear or persecution. There's more going on behind the scenes. Some of it can't even be, openly discussed here. But let's just say not everything is as simple and as innocent as it is being painted. I really hope that you understand what I'm trying to say. I hope you get it. Please indicate that in the comment section down below. I really hope the content in this video gave you a better sense of the bigger picture. These conversations are layered, emotional, and complex, and they deserve to be looked at with a bit of, depth. So I think there's not much to say on this. It's quite a very sensitive topic. So at this point, I'm going to hand the floor to you. What do you think about this entire thing, how this is unfolding, or you're waiting for it to unfold completely? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would really love to hear, what you think about this, whether you agree, disagree, or you have your own, views. I would love you to share them in the comment section down below. Most importantly, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this channel. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you share this video so that it can reach as many people as possible. Yeah, I will definitely see you in my next video. As always, please stay peaceful.